Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Reading with Opinions. My name is Emmy, like the award, and today we are going to be talking about one of the most talked about books in recent memory, which is Jennette McCurdy's I'm Glad My Mom Died. I'm Glad My Mom Died is a memoir written by Jennette McCurdy, who is a former child star that you might have seen on shows like iCarly or Sam and Cat on Nickelodeon. Though the book does delve into some anecdotes from the show, it mainly focuses on her relationship with her mother. Now, before getting into the bulk of the review, I need to state just a massive trigger warning for this book. Well, trigger warnings, because there's a lot. These triggers include eating disorders, mental, emotional, and physical abuse, OCD, and alcoholism. And if this doesn't sound like something that you'll be able to hear about, I encourage you to click off this video, and I encourage you even more to not read this book. McCurdy does not shy away from anything in her description, so please take these warnings seriously. And I guess I should also say that if you've watched any of my previous videos, which are very meme heavy, and I use a lot of effects and I try to make them really fun and enjoyable, this video won't be like that because it's not appropriate. In my reviews, I want to make sure that I treat the material that I read and review with respect to the author and the contents, and I think that this definitely deserves a more serious discussion because it's a beautiful book and it deserves to be talked about without me throwing up pictures of cats or whatever. So, now that I've finished all the reasons why you shouldn't watch this video, let's begin. For the one person who has not read or heard of this book, hi Mom. Nice to see you. Thanks for watching. In her debut memoir, Jennette McCurdy reveals the heartbreaking details of what it was like growing up as a child actor as the daughter of a narcissistic and controlling mother. When McCurdy was only 3, her mother was diagnosed with breast cancer, and though she initially survived, the disease would come back and eventually take her mom's life when Jennette McCurdy was 21 years old. McCurdy reconstructs these in-between years as a memoir, though it really is presented as a vignette style with very short chapters and anecdotes from throughout her childhood. A great quote from McCurdy that summarizes basically this entire book is, quote, "My mom emotionally, mentally, and physically abused me in ways that will forever impact me," end quote. These abuses took many forms. Probably the most shocking for me to read was how McCurdy recounted that her mother taught her how to be anorexic when she was only 11 years old in order to eliminate her menstrual cycle and keep her from reaching puberty, therefore looking younger so she could book those younger roles in Hollywood. The book opens with an adult Jennette McCurdy visiting her mom in the hospital where she's in a coma. Her cancer has come back, and McCurdy and her brothers are trying to wake her mom up by saying all sorts of wonderful things. And Jennette's wonderful thing that she thinks will really get her mom to wake up is that her restricted eating and disordered lifestyle have finally caused her to reach her mom's goal weight for her, which is 89 pounds. And the fucked up thing is that she does eventually wake up. Oh my God. So those are all the specific details that I'm going to recount. I think that you should buy the book, but in the rest of this video, I'm going to focus on the things that I absolutely loved about this book and the things that I think Jennette McCurdy did so well while writing this, because I think that's a better use of my time to tell you why I liked it instead of just summarizing the whole thing. So it was almost a 5-star for me. I think if I was putting on Storygraph, I'd give it 4.75 stars, and I'll tell you what that minus 0.25 is just at the end because it's not important, but I did really, really love this book. Reason number 1 that I loved I'm Glad My Mom Died by Jennette McCurdy is that you can tell Jennette McCurdy actually wrote the damn book. And not only did she write it, but she's a really, really good writer, which is not always or even usually the case with celebrity authors. Normally when you read these celebrity biographies, you can tell that there was definitely a ghostwriter or that it's just very surface level. They never really get into what makes them them. And that is not so with this book. Not only was it really well written and written from a perspective that you could tell only Jennette McCurdy could have written this, but it was written so well that I was physically uncomfortable while reading it. But also that's the point. I'm not supposed to be comfortable while reading this horrible book about her early childhood and narcissistic mother, you know? And as I alluded to before, there is no celebrity expose like you would typically see in a book written by a celebrity. There's no Nickelodeon tea or behind the scenes drama that you're going to get from this book. I've seen quite a few headlines that are referencing specific points in the book, like, actually, Jennette McCurdy hates Ariana Grande? The people who wrote those headlines did not read the book. Or if they did read it, they were looking for things to put in a headline. They weren't reading it to look at it critically and to review it. By the way, if, that's why you clicked on this video, Jennette McCurdy doesn't say one bad word about Ariana Grande. The only thing she says is that Ariana was at a different stage in her career than she was, and Jennette was really jealous at Ariana's preferential treatment from Nickelodeon. Honestly, very fair. Another thing that I see being brought up a lot is Jennette McCurdy was offered $300,000 in hush money by Nickelodeon. And though that is true, it's a lot more complicated and nuanced in that. And she has said in interviews that in terms of the hush money, as I guess we're calling it, that she said everything that she wanted to say about that situation in the book. So if you're curious about that, buy the book. Second thing that I loved about this book is I loved the writing style, and I loved the tense and the tone that Jennette McCurdy took while writing this book. This book is written from the perspective of Jennette McCurdy when she experienced the events as she experienced them. And there isn't really any judgment in the way that she lines that up. Because child Jennette McCurdy thought that that was fine. That's just the way life is. Mom loves me. Of course this is fine. But it's up to us as the reader to pass judgment on those people from her past. We know what adult Jennette McCurdy thinks about her mom. It's in the title of the damn book. I appreciate that all of these facts and her experiences were laid out so plainly, but that we didn't get judgment from an adult McCurdy until like the very, very end of the book. And it left us to draw our own conclusions. And if you're a decent human being, there is only one conclusion that you can draw. And third of all, I love the questions that this book inherently asks, whether that was intentional by the author or not. The first question is, should child stars be allowed to exist on a fundamental level? Does stardom actually benefit the child in any discernible way? Who is looking out for these children, and can we trust the parents to be that person that will put the child's interests before their own? One of the things that stood out to me about this book while reading is that there were no responsible adults in the picture whatsoever. Obviously, her mom was incredibly awful, again, given the title of the book, but I would argue that her dad and her grandparents, both who lived in the same house with Jennette and her mom, were equally responsible for Jennette's mistreatment because they saw what was happening to her and they did absolutely nothing. Like, no one noticed the emotional and physical abuse. No one noticed that her mom taught her how to have an eating disorder? Okay, not sure I believe that. And if you can't trust the parents of a child star to make the right decisions, then who can you trust? Certainly not the studio executives, as we saw in the section about the creator, as Jennette calls them in this book. The creator being a allegedly manipulative and abusive studio executive, which was one of the reasons that Jennette was offered money from Nickelodeon so that she wouldn't talk about that person. Allegedly. So if you can't trust the parents and you can't trust studio executives, who can you trust? That's a dangerous situation. This is especially relevant when you look at a lot of channels on YouTube that feature children. The Ace Family, Ryan's Toy Review. In Hollywood, child actors are protected by a law called the Coogan Law, which requires parents to put 15% of the kid's earnings into a trust, which the child will receive when they turn 18 years old. There are no laws that apply to social media or money that is made on these social platforms and networks, and so we inherently have to trust that the parents will put money aside from their kids when they reach an age of majority, and I don't really see that happening with this guy. It raises a lot of questions for me, not new ones. This has been discussed ad nauseum by many, many people, but got me really thinking. How do you solve that problem? I'm not sure there's a clear answer there. And the second question that this book raised for me, which is inherent in the title of the book, I'm Glad My Mom Died, is, do children owe their abusive parents anything? To which the book answers a resounding, fuck no. I've seen a fair amount of controversy online about the title of this book, I'm glad my mom died. People saying that, like, it's too much, or, like, that title's too real, or blah, 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 blah. I don't really care about their opinions because I think it's wrong. It's something about opinions that shouldn't be expressed publicly or some bullshit, I'm not really sure. Or maybe some people were accusing her of just using that title for attention. And yeah, she did use that title for attention as a marketing tactic. It's very eye-catching. The cover, like, is almost camp with this bubblegum pink and she's smiling, holding an urn. Like, you look at that cover and you both laugh and you feel like a little uncomfortable on the inside. It's brilliant. And Jennette has admitted in interviews with Good Morning America and Dateline that the title, it was supposed to be eye-catching. It was supposed to get people to grab the book, to pick it up, and to want to buy it, and it definitely does that. However, she absolutely earns that title throughout the book. You understand as the reader hundreds of times over why she is legitimately glad that her mom died. The title is a thesis, and the book is the statement. She proves why she's glad her mom died, and she earns that title as you read the book. And I'm glad her mom died too, by the way. Another quote from her Good Morning America interview is this. Quote, "I think that anybody who has experienced parental abuse understands this title, and I think anybody who has a sense of humor understands this title." End quote. Yep. Before I wrap this review up, I did say at the beginning of this that this was almost a 5-star read for me. It's certainly the best book that I've reviewed so far on this channel. I really, really enjoyed it. And the only thing that I wish this book had more of is I wish that it delved just a bit more into her recovery process. We go into excruciating detail about her childhood, her early adulthood, the after effects of when her mom died, how hard that was for her. And we do get to see the beginning of McCurdy's recovery period and several snapshots from when she was recovering. However, those snapshots near the end of the book, while the recovery is becoming more and more stable, they become 1 year apart, 3 years apart. I just wanted to see more of the middle of the recovery process and the great work that she did to get to where she is today. I know that, like, the meat and potatoes of the book was her relationship with her mom, but I just wanted to see her get over that and overcome that in a little bit of a larger time frame. The ending felt just a little bit abrupt for me. I mean, also it was so good that it could have been easily 100 pages longer, and I very much would not have minded. I wanted to just, I guess that's also part of it. I just wanted to read more about Jennette McCurdy being happy, and I wish that I had gotten a little bit more of that at the end of the book. That being said, 4.75 stars, outstanding. I can't believe her mom discouraged her from becoming a writer, because this is one of the best memoirs that I've ever read, certainly this year. Well, that's going to be it for me today. I really hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, feel free to hit that like button below the video and subscribe to my channel if you want to see more from me. I do have an Instagram and a Storygraph. Links are in the description. And let me know if you have a book that you think that I would like and should review on this channel. All right, have a good one. Bye.